increasing number of cases of depression, and the way it is being dealt conventionally may not be good enough to answer the questions that a patient who is experiencing depression may be going through. So it's not just in the brain, it's a whole body disorder. And today we have Mr. Sanjay Sachdeva with us to bring his valuable insights on the functional medicine approach to treating depression. Mr. Sanjay, he comes from a diverse background. He has done his MBA, he has done his law, and then a PhD in nutrition. He's the founder and director of Metabalance Healthcare, which is Functional and Bioregulatory Medicine Centre in Delhi. So a very warm welcome, Mr. Sanjay. Very excited to have you here today to learn from you on this topic of depression.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and giving me this slot. This is an often heard word. We are mostly facing issues of depression with our patients a lot of times. In fact, more than 50%, the national statistics are different, but in my experience, more than 50% of the patients that I see every month, which is about 140 in a month, almost 50% of them have some depression, anxiety, or sadness or mood disorders. And they are tired of going to doctors to take drugs and medicines. So they are always looking for alternative solutions, and functional medicine has come up with a lot of interesting ideas on this, which I will share with you. So let me just can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can.
So what we are going to do is, it's basically, when people are walking in, they are experiencing either helplessness or hopelessness or sadness. It's a long-term feeling of constant feeling of anxiety and feeling low for various reasons. That's what I feel. People who are coming with cases of thyroid and diabetes, obesity, they all have causes which are deep rooted in some form of mental anxiety or depression. And in India, it is about 56 lakh people, but I think there's pretty much more, because the recorded statistics are coming from the data that is recorded from people who go to a doctor or to a therapist or to a psychiatrist. But there's a lot of people who are not even addressing this or not even going out of their homes to even consult a therapist at all. So we don't know the real number. But the statistics point out in WHO that 36% Indians will suffer from depression at some point in their lives. According to me, it's more than 50 to 60%, because I'm purely going by the 1,200 patients that I've met in the last 3 years. And these are almost half of them are suffering from some form of mental anxiety or depression. The important statistic, of course, it's available on the internet, but suicide is the most important, second leading cause of death among younger people between the age of 10 and 34. So that's the red flag in this. Most people are not receiving any treatment for it. There is various forms of depression that we go through, but clinical depression is the most common one. There are people with different types of disorders, but I feel clinical depression and psychotic depression are the two most important ones that we need to deal with. And in general, statistical terms, women are more likely to get depression at some point of their life than men. It's more 40% more women have it. Drug and alcohol addiction are found in conjunction with depression. Sometimes one follows the other, and other times depression follows the addiction. But it all stems from the beginning is from the anxiety disorders, which are the most common. Specifically after COVID-19, 90% countries have included mental health and psychological support in their COVID response plans. 40% or more cases have increased in terms of post-COVID depression. According to the statistics, it's 25%. According to some, it's 35%. Most all journals also quoting a 40% increase in depression post-COVID. So the reasons which are aligned to or assigned to the causes for depression are obesity, diet, social environment, physical activity, and sleep and light. These are the most commonly found factors that are affecting depression today. Obesity, of course, increases the risk of developing depression by 55%. Diet increases the risk tremendously, especially for being in functional nutrition. I feel diet plays a huge role in how we feel. The gut is actually not the second brain, but the first brain. And what you're eating today is what you will be. So the quality and the quantity of food that you are putting in and the timing of what you're eating is very importantly linked with the way we feel. Physical activity increases the risk again by 37%. Social environment increases the risk, and light and sleep is a very important part. 90% of us have a disturbed circadian rhythm. 60% of us are not getting enough sleep in India. And that is one of the major factors which people assign the lowest importance to. And I feel that people who are coming with various illnesses are not even considering sleep as an important enough factor, which affects the way we think and the way we feel. Vitamin D, almost 80 to 90% of the patients that I've seen are deficient in vitamin D. The standards of the vitamin D, which are laid out by the common labs, common pathological labs, are very wide. They are sometimes stated from 20 to 100. But in functional medicine, we always target at getting a vitamin D level of 80 plus. 80 to 100 is the most optimum level to be in, and we are not there. Almost 80 to 90% people are deficient. This has a direct link with depression. Vitamin C deficiency is not given enough importance in the modern medicine or other forms of medicine, but it has a direct link with how we feel as well, and also with depression. As you know, our body does not produce vitamin D3 and vitamin C, so we have to supplement. And getting the nutrients from food is not sufficient enough, so we have to take IVs or oral supplementation. Mineral deficiencies and vitamin deficiencies are also very important. Most of us do not pay enough attention, and we consider ourselves to be in the normal range. The normal range is so wide that even somebody at the lower end of the normal bracket is considered to be normal. We need to aim for optimization and at optimum levels, and not just at the edge. Blood pressure has a direct link with depression and how we are feeling. Another factor which has been ignored is EMF. There's almost 4 billion smartphones in the world. Cell towers are being constructed. There are more than 50,000 cell towers now, and this suppresses the melatonin production. Smart devices are entering every home, and what I have also noticed from the tests that we do, that almost all the seven chakras are affected with EMF. And out of the meridians, we do a test for the meridian energy in the clinic, and we've seen that 10 out of 12 meridians are disturbed because of EMF radiation. The moment you reduce the EMF exposure, the meridians and the chakras start coming back into balance, just with this one change. I have seen that most of the chakras are affected with this. A lot of times when we test the chakras, we feel that they are impacted by various forms of radiation that we are getting, and of course toxicities, and the anxiety and the environment that we are living in also has a big role to play in the chakra imbalances. One of the other factors that we test in the clinic is metal toxicity through a process called oligoscan, and we have seen that most people who are undergoing depression and anxiety disorders have heavy metal toxicity, specifically lead and mercury. These are two areas which have caused a lot of mental disturbances, and most heavy metals, when you detox them, people start to feel better. Hormonal changes, of course, including menopause, andropause, thyroid disorders, they are importantly linked with depression. Now, what is the approach of functional medicine? Let's understand how we can look at it differently. So functional medicine has a lot of different approaches. As you know, standard medical approach is to treat symptoms and to treat with medication or treat them with other therapies such as cognitive behavior therapy, other psychotherapies which are available. But functional medicine has got another wider approach, which is overriding these approaches and sometimes parallelly doing these approaches. So, but as functional medicine practitioners, we are not supposed to treat with chemical drugs, or we avoid chemical drugs. We are, according to me, beings of energy, and each cell of our body, which is run by the mitochondria and ATP, is vibrating at different frequencies. It's it's our thoughts which determine how our cells will vibrate and at what frequency they will vibrate. So therefore, if you change your thought and you are able to alter the subconscious mind, which then in turn alters the vibrational frequency of the cells, and that's what affects our bodies and our mind thinking. Intrinsically, the mind and body are one, and when what happens in the body affects the mind, and vice versa, what happens in the mind affects the body. So a lot of these are treated in the way that you are treating the mind first and then the body starts getting better, or you start, if the mind is in a very acute stage of depression, then you start treating nutritionally through hormone balancing and through other methods. So that because if a person is very depressed, you cannot ask him to start doing meditation and mindfulness practices, because they can't get focused on that. They're already going through a problem area in their life, and they cannot find focus, and they cannot concentrate, or they cannot meditate, because you cannot ask them to start detaching themselves with thoughts and with their current circumstances. It's easier said than done. People mostly go to doctors and they tell them, "Oh, okay, you must meditate, you must do this, you must do that." But if I'm going through a very bad depression in my life, I will not be able to focus on meditation. I will not be able to detach myself. My thoughts cannot shift, because we keep running back to the same trigger factors which are causing the depression. So at those in those cases, we have to begin with physical interventions without giving medicines. What are these physical interventions? Let's understand that. So as I said, positive thoughts will increase the vibrational level of the body, and they will change the way we feel. However, there are certain hormones which are responsible for making you feel good. Oxytocin is one of them, also called the love hormone. Uh, Exercise is one way of increasing it. Other ways to do is hugging. A 20-second deep hug increases the oxytocin levels in the body. Music has a capacity to increase oxytocin levels. The other hormone, which is a feel-good hormone, is endorphins, which are released in the body through exercise, acupuncture, meditation, essential oil therapies, Indian flower remedies, laughter therapy, music therapies, getting more sunlight, etc. Also, it's important to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, because it has a direct link with depression. So at times, you are able to do specific mindfulness practices, such as Likhit Chapa, such as pranayama of a certain type, Wim Hof breathing, the other three other forms of breathing which are important, which can regulate the breath in a particular manner that helps you to focus your mind and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. This will automatically change the way our thoughts are. Serotonin is another important hormone, feel-good hormone, which is important. Then there are certain supplements which will act in terms of changing our thought processes. These are natural building blocks for the creation of neurotransmitters. So these supplements are like L-theanine, for example, calms the mind. There's ashwagandha plays a role in it. There are many supplements that are listed out. In the case of people who are feeling depressed and low, they need to change. A lot of this has to do with the gut as well, which we are coming to. The next point is a very important point, which is called nutritional psychology or nutritional psychiatry. So you are what you eat. It's a new area of clinical intervention for people who are suffering from depression. And in fact, in California, I was associated recently with opening of a mood food cafe. So we are right now doing some research on this to create recipes for serving foods that are nutritionally important, and they will release certain feel good hormones. So when your gut feels happy, your mind will feel happy. So people who are unable to do any other form of therapy, they can at least eat the right foods. There are certain foods which will act reverse. So there are foods which will make you depressed, and there are foods which make you feel better and high. High in terms of feeling, you feel higher as in level of happiness. So there is, markers such as inulin and leptin, which have a direct link with this also. Insulin resistance also is a direct link with depression. So if you are able to reverse insulin resistance and create a food or a diet which is a pure mood food diet, it has a direct impact on how we feel. I am myself doing some research on this right now, and I'm coming up with recipes and with proper uh, menu for reducing mental anxiety and stress. Some of the foods which are known to help with depression are fatty fish, chocolates, dark chocolate, 70% plus, fermented foods, oats and berries. Pranayam, yes, of course, it helps a lot, but there are certain specific types must be done under guidance. Every form of pranayam is not required for restoring balance of the mind. You need to have a trained yoga therapist or a breath work therapist who can make you understand what impact does breathing correctly have on your mind. There are certain yoga postures in the hatha yoga which help with depression and with the way the mind works. I also am a great believer in the mudra therapy. There are various mudras, specifically Kaleshwara mudra, Apana Vayu mudra, Jnana mudra, Anjali mudra, and Prana mudra. If these mudras are followed for 10 minutes a day, 5 mudras, so you are doing 50 minutes, you do for 21 days, it makes a lot of difference because it changes the energy flow in the body in a certain manner. I've just completed a 6-month program in mudra therapy, and it's very, very powerful way of helping with various disease conditions, specifically with anxiety and depression. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I had to rush through it because I was given a very small time slot, like all of us. So I thought it would be better to leave space for Q&As, if any. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. You've beautifully connected different aspects that can contribute to depression. And it was wonderful to see how, whether it's heavy metals or, the nutritional insufficiency, the kind of sleep we are getting, everything is so closely connected with what's going on in the mind. So we do have some time to take in questions. I'll take one question from the Q&A. What constitutes having good sleep? So Sivaram is asking what constitutes having good sleep, and his belief is that aside from rest, he wants melatonin-mediated autophagy or repair to trigger.
So obviously we have got sleep cycles are different for each person, but we are not following the circadian rhythm, which means that you sleep within 2 or 3 hours of the sunset and you awaken at the rising sun. That impacts our melatonin cycle. Most of us have a disturbed circadian rhythm. So if you follow the circadian rhythm for a change, then it will start regulating your sleep cycle. Within the sleep cycle, we've got different stages of 90 minutes each, and each cycle takes us through a phase of alpha, beta, theta, and gamma waves and delta waves. So when we go into deep sleep, which is called REM sleep, that is when we really get the rejuvenation fact. That's where the rejuvenation happens in the body, and that's where your mind actually gets rest. So you need to get into that deep sleep state, which is the REM stage, which happens 2 to 3 times in a night, and it must happen between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. So if you're awake till 2 a.m., you've already lost that bit. You can't make up that sleep by just sleeping late till 10 o'clock in the morning. You need to have that particular time. That our body clock is attuned to follow the circadian rhythm and not just complete 8 hours of sleep.
Absolutely. So the whole idea of just catching up with sleep may give you some rest, but then it's not really helping in the process of regeneration that's actually supposed to happen during the process of sleep. Um, so, sir, you mentioned about checking the different chakras, right, and how activated or deactivated your chakras are. So, how do you measure that? What's the kind of test or the
We
machine?
measure it with there's a Russian scientist called Dr. Korotkov who has developed a test called the BioWell, which measures the exact position of the chakras. Earlier on, we were only doing it with chakra balancing experts who used to do it with their own intuitive powers and their own measurements of the chakras. However, now it can be scientifically measured with a proper printout. You can get a picture of the aura. When you get a picture of the aura, you get the colors of the aura. You interpret the aura through the Krillian camera. So we take a picture of the patient through the Krillian camera, and we do the BioWell test. So we are able to see the exact position of the chakras. If they are misaligned, we check the alignment. It goes from 70% misalignment to 99%. So it can be anywhere between that range. And when you're able to see which particular chakra, let's say the Muladhara chakra is out by 70%, then you have to bring it back into balance. If all the chakras are not 97, 98% aligned, our energy flow will be disturbed, and the energy will not flow from top to bottom or bottom to up, depending on how you want to make it flow. And that disturbs our mental peace and our factors which affect our body and mood. Our health gets affected by the auric body and by the energy body before physically we get sick. Our energy body gets sick. So energy body attracts the disease or the physical ailments before, and then that after about a few months it starts hitting the physical body. So if we are able to align our energy body in proper consonance, then we will not get physical illnesses to that extent.
Absolutely. And it's amazing to see how in your practice you are combining both the energy medicine and what we can actually do physically. So what will be the process? Let's say if someone comes to you with a diagnosis of clinical depression. So what's the process of getting the right evaluations done to actually, so what can you just maybe
All
briefly?
my patients have to go through a CBT session first, even if they come for diabetes, thyroid, obesity. We always analyze why is this person eating the wrong food at the wrong time and is not able to control that. Instead of just putting him on a diet plan, the CBT is the first thing. The second we always go through is a process of biological dentistry checkup. Most people, and the third we do is a proper metal scan and toxicity scan, because if you have toxins lurking in the body and there are BPA and there is chemicals and there's heavy metals in the body, then you can do what you want, but your cell absorption of nutrients will not be happening because the cell lining hardens with toxins, and the excretion of the toxic materials which the cell is supposed to excrete does not happen with that kind of pace as it's supposed to. When you are seeing the excretion not happening, then the toxin will remain inside the body. So no matter what intervention you do, what diet you give, what IVs you give, what supplements you give, they will not get absorbed and the body will not excrete. It's not just about what you're eating. It's also about what you're assimilating, what you're digesting, and what you're excreting. All four have to have proper regulation so that you're able to assimilate, digest, and excrete properly. So we make the patient go through these tests initially, and then we are able to assess the level of imbalances in the energy body, in the physical body, and then we're able to treat accordingly.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. I have another question here. Connection of low sodium and depression.
Yes, so mineral imbalances and electrolyte imbalances have a big role.
Can the other can someone
There's too much noise.
co-host please mute? Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that, sir. You are muted.
Yeah. What was your question? Sorry, again.
So the connection between low sodium and depression.
Yes, so electrolyte imbalances are measured also through a scan. We do a scan for electrolyte imbalance. We don't need to do a blood test. With a fair degree of accuracy, we can understand the ratio between sodium potassium balance in the at the neurotransmitter level as well, and we're able to check if there is an imbalance. Then you correct the sodium potassium imbalance with supplements, with IVs and all that, and then you're able to. It has a big link with the way your mind works. Potassium and sodium imbalances have a big link with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so now when it comes to drugs for the treatment of depression, right?
Yeah.
So like what's your thoughts on that?
I'm not much in favor of this, but of course there are certain chemical imbalances which happen for some people, and they may need drug intervention, in which case you have to go to a psychiatrist and get a medical prescription, which I'm not qualified to do, and I'm not a believer in it myself. So I don't. I think that we are beings of energy. My strongest slide in the presentation was this: that if we are imbalanced in energy, we are not chemical beings, we're not made up of chemicals, our body is not made of chemicals. So if there is a chemical imbalance, why should we need chemicals to treat it? Usually we have an energetic imbalance, so you treat energetic imbalances with energy and not with chemicals. So I don't believe much in that, unless it's a very severe case of something which can't be handled by this. Though I believe everything can be handled by energetic balance.
Absolutely. It take some time. Results may not be, immediate. So for a certain severe conditions, there may be need for drugs. And often patients have this concern that once they start any medication, will they be able to go off that medication? Well, that's definitely possible if we start addressing what is contributing to that disease. We can definitely wean off the medications and one can be healthy again. So there are a lot of wearable devices now, right? I mean, and all Bluetooth enabled devices, and we know EMF is contributing to sickness, to lifestyle diseases today. But then there's a lot about tracking one's progress also, whether tracking how many steps one has walked, tracking all the vitals, tracking the stress. So what are your thoughts on all these wearable
So
devices?
wearable devices which have Bluetooth enabled systems on them, they do not radiate, they do not generate EMF radiation. EMF radiation is generated from cell phone towers, from your cell phone, from your Wi-Fi routers, from your laptops, from microwave, from your TV. They do not get generated to that extent. The level of radiation that the Bluetooth devices that you are doing by the wearable devices, which are in your hand or in your rings, they do not generate dangerous levels of this. Yes, but in general, psychologically, one gets affected if you're constantly monitoring yourself. You're living with, it's like living with a thermometer in your mouth and constantly looking at your body temperature. We don't need to go paranoid about it. It's important to keep a measure on it. So probably if you're wearing a device, what I do is I also wear a Aura ring, which is not on me right now, because I take it off every week and for 1 week, and I use it for a week and then I'll take it off, because you pretty much know your lifestyle and you are able to measure your sleep quality and your steps. And if you know your lifestyle, and if your lifestyle is disciplined and regulated, then you don't need to keep track every minute. You don't need to keep looking at your watch all the time.
I agree with sir. The more we start controlling, micromanaging our everyday step, it becomes, we just start becoming paranoid about things.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights on the topic of depression. And there are people who are interested in consulting you. So we will be sharing your details post, in the chat and the Q&A. So thank you so much, Mr.
Thank
Sanjay,
you.
for being with us
Thank
today.
you. Thank you so much.